report that the NFLP would like to move training camp into June, July, and get rid of all this stuff. As a coach, what do you think of that idea?
I would not be in favor of that, but we'll adjust, I guess, if that's what they want to do. I go back to the COVID year. I don't think that was good for anybody. There's not a lot of time we get with these guys anyways, and just to cram everything in at the beginning of training camp, I think it's particularly bad for, I would say, a lot of undrafted guys, because you just don't have the time to invest in the process and learn the playbook, or so I don't think it would be good for the game personally, but I don't think they really care what I have to say.
You said people would, you didn't want people to freak out with Josh not there last week or not participating. Today was Sweet's first time we saw him participating. How do you look, and what are your impressions?
Well, we're moving him along. He's progressing. He's doing a nice job, but hopefully next week we'll get him out there and when we're going full speed.
We are looking to bring him in. What was it about his game that y'all thought made him an ideal fit for this offense? Obviously, he had a great year 2 years ago, but
yeah, I think he's a fit in any offense. His running style. He runs extremely hard. He's really tough to take down. He's got great hands out of the backfield. I think any time, at least the way we evaluate these runners, you almost have to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield now. And he's great in pass protection. He's a great teammate, great leader. I've enjoyed getting to know him. And so I think there's a lot of great things he brings to our football team.
Do you want to keep the kind of the same rotation you've had in the past? Aaron Jones was basically a 60% guy, snaps. Do you want to do the same with him, or do you want to get him out there more?
We'll see. I think time will tell. I philosophically, no matter who the runner is, typically we'd like to, platoon those guys, whether it's 2 guys or 3 guys. I just think it allows the running backs to stay fresh throughout the duration of the season. It's a very violent position they play, and some of those hits are high-impact hits, and just to keep them fresh throughout the course of the year. And then when it gets down to the end of it, you got to roll with whoever you feel gives you the best opportunity to win games. And but I do think there's a lot of benefit to having multiple runners in there in terms of just number one, I think it lengthens their careers. But I do think he's very capable of being a high volume feature back where he's getting the bulk of the carries, but we'll see how it plays out.
I know this is a Brian call, but with that said, does that give more value to keeping 3 running backs on the 53? Some teams keep 2, some 3. Do you see more value with just wanting to rotate guys in like that? Yeah,
I think every year is a different situation. If it's all about having quality players, and we feel like we've got more than 3, so that's a good situation to be in.
And Matt, it's tough for us because we're only at 1 out of every 3 of these OTAs. What we saw from Pratt today, is that how he's kind of been throughout, or did he have a really good day today? What have you seen from him?
Yeah, I think like most rookie quarterbacks, there's a lot of inconsistencies right there. I mean, there's a lot that he's learning. We probably got 40% of the playbook in. A lot of the footwork is new to him. Obviously, the terminology and the things we're asking of him are just foreign. So, he made some plays. That was evident there, and I think some of the guys made plays for him, which you have to have. But that was our first real 11 on 11 full speed was today. So you're welcome.
Along those lines, what are you looking for from a guy like Pratt in that situation? Maybe with Jordan looking for a touchdown, but with a young quarterback that you just explained getting his feet wet, what are you looking for in that drill? Yeah,
you're always looking to score, right? But I think more than anything, just the operation, the command, understanding the situation, making sure you take care of the football. That's ultimately priority number 1. And that was just a 2-minute end of half, and on Friday we'll do a 2-minute end of game situation.
Do you have a preference right now, or any kind of leaning on who will wear the green dot helmet? I know it's early, but where are your thoughts on that right now?
Yeah, I think, that's something we're working through. I would say more than likely it's going to be Quay, but we'll see how it all plays out.
Hey, Matt, I know you guys are only in shorts and helmets, but if it takes a while with Zach to get back, what do you think you have in Dillard? Are you able to get a feel for him even in this kind of environment, or not really?
Yeah, well, I mean, he was a first-round draft pick for a reason. You can see the size, the athleticism. I think he is perfect in terms of a scheme fit, something that we're always looking for. There's athletically, he can do it all. I think it's just about learning our system, how we do things, the fundamentals, and the techniques that are associated with that position that we look for. And, we're rotating a lot of guys around. So it's not just, hey, you're at left tackle. He's been playing right tackle. We're just trying to find the best fit for everybody and, let the best man win.
Voluntary, but was there anything to Elton, Preston, and Rashawn not being here today?
Yeah, they were really pissed at me, so they decided not to show up. No, we knew they weren't going to be here today. So the one thing I'll say about everybody in that locker room, the communication's been on point. That's all we ask because of the planning that goes into it, making sure that, we spread out the reps, making sure that we have enough guys because we do a lot of the two-spot just to maximize the time and so you don't have 70 guys standing around. But no, the communication's been on point, and I certainly appreciate that from our players.
What do you see from Jaden and Dontavian, some second-year receivers, and how far are they now from where they were this time last year?
I think they're night and day, but ultimately we got to go out there and do it. And I think the training they put in on their time away from here is evident, and I think they've been totally engaged when they've been here, being very deliberate about what they're trying to get better at. Certainly they have a great just knowledge base of what we're trying to accomplish, and I think they understand the why much more, and so they've looked great up to this point.
Matt, how has Rashid kind of answered the bell from what you can tell from you guys drafting Morgan?
Yeah, I think he's come in with the right mindset. She didn't say anything after the draft. He just came in and got to work, and that's what we're looking for. And I think he's been a guy that's been totally locked in and dialed in, and it's amazing to see just the growth and maturation from when he was a rookie to now. I think it's night and day.
Did you wonder about that? I mean, he had a full season for you last year and played really well toward the end, and then you draft a first-round guy at his position. Did you wonder how he would kind of respond?
I think you always wonder about that, but there's only two ways you can go about it, and I think he's chosen the right way. And ultimately, our job is to try to continue to bring in as much talent as possible that's going to make your roster better. And I think competition brings out the best in everybody. And so I really love the things that he can control, which is how you respond to whatever the circumstance is.
Obviously, he set some franchise records for you guys last year. What's the next step for him?
To continue to learn and grow and be a real leader in that room, which I think he's embraced. I think he's done a great job of doing all that.
Matt, going back to the question about changing the off-season program, regardless of whether that happens or not, do you guys feel pretty good about, I don't want to say you have it all figured out, I know you don't feel that way, but do you feel pretty good about what you've got in place now and how you're going about it? You had the first year as the head coach, then you had the COVID year, then you had Rodgers who wasn't coming. Do you feel pretty good about what you've got going on during the offseason?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that you're always looking for from your team is just the energy, the effort, the camaraderie, their connection with each other. I think all that, I couldn't be happier right now. And ultimately, we know that there's going to be some adversity somewhere down the line, and that's the real test. Right now, it's easy. Nobody's lost a game. So I think that, but I've been really pleased. I think we've made a lot of gains too in a lot of areas, just in terms of when I look at some of these guys and the development of their bodies, their minds. So I think we've made a lot of growth.
What have you seen from Sean Ryan make the biggest jump as he's now fighting for possibly starting?
Yeah, I think the thing that jumps out to me most is just his conditioning level is so much better than when he first got in the league. His ability to string together many plays. I mean, shoot, I remember when he first got here, I mean, a couple plays in, he might have 3 great plays, but he was gassed. And so I think that's something that he's had to learn and work really hard at, and I think he's done a really good job with that.
Year's approach this offseason, is there any difference than in previous years after everything's
Outstanding. Just, again, he's been here every day, shows up, great attitude, eager to learn, is out there competing with the guys, talking trash, which I love because I love just amping up that level of competition in a fun way. You know, he's never demeaning. I think he's been a great teammate and been a great leader for us.
What have you seen from Jordan Morgan so far?
Again, another guy that is very athletic. There's nothing he can't do. For him, it's just about putting it all together mentally. I think there's been a lot put on his plate, and I think there's at times his head is spinning, but I think you just got to keep, chopping and grinding and working through it, and there's going to be mistakes, and I think a big part of this is just being resilient throughout that process and making sure that you don't lose confidence, because certainly he has all the skills to be as good as he wants to be.
Played a lot of left guard for you today, which obviously without him out was just getting him reps. Is there anything without him being in pads that can show you whether or not he can play guard, or do you really just have to, is that just reps for him now and you're waiting for
Yeah, I think we're trying to get him as many reps as possible, and we're rotating a lot of guys through all the positions, and that's just kind of how we train these guys.
Hey, Matt, I feel like you've been pretty consistent in your message, even going back to like your postseason press conference about it's great what we accomplished in the second half, but it doesn't mean anything for next year. Why did you think that was important? Because you brought it up a number of times with us, and I know it probably goes to the locker room too. So why was that important to be the message, and how have you seen it resonate with your guys?
Well, because you can never take anything for granted, and it really doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It's about what we're building towards and trying to accomplish in the future. And I think, we've got a great start to it, but ultimately we got to keep working. And that's, I feel like, the only way you accomplish anything in life is you work and grind and try to get that a little bit better each and every day.
Does that make sense with a young team to message that way, just because they haven't been through it the way a lot of you?
Yeah, young team, old team, I think it just, you can never lose that mindset. I think if you do, then you start going the other way and you start going backwards. And luckily for us, we've got a lot of skill that is in that locker room, and it's just how we put it all together.
How do you think Jacobs next week? You hope he's full speed, or faster than you get him going faster as far as the percentage. But this week compared to last week, was that a surprise that he was even getting some reps and doing the individual drills?
No, that was part of the plan, and he's done a great job attacking his rehab. I think Nate Weir and the staff in there, Flea, have done a great job with him, and our strength staff, and he's progressing nicely.
Do you think Carlson has responded to have some competition after he didn't have any last year?
I think he's done a nice job. I think all those guys, there's been highs and lows for all of them. I think it's a very tight battle. But I think, you don't really know until you start getting more into those high-pressure game-like situations. It was cool to have just a little bit more of that today, being a 2-minute situation, and see how those guys responded.
Is Van Ness dealing with anything significant, or?
Not significant.
Give any sort of an answer.
Yeah, he broke his thumb a little bit, just the tip though.
Can you break the thumb just a little bit? Like, is is there some degrees of break?
I don't know, I'm not a doctor, obviously.
Matt, there's not a great conversational segue from that. When did Tom Clements let you know that he was going to come back for another year? And what does he mean to you as a coach, but what has he also meant to how good Jordan is at this point compared to maybe where he was?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think back. He wanted to take some time after the season to kind of mull it over. Obviously, it's a huge commitment with his wife and kids living out in California. And but it was after a couple weeks into it, you know, he said he'd like to come back, and shoot, I was ecstatic. So I just think his level of consistency with how he communicates, how he coaches, he just brings a steady presence for, I think, not only the quarterbacks, but for myself and the rest of our staff. He is super consistent. You know what you're going to get from him each and every day. And, you know, I think he's a hell of a coach, and I think an even better person.
And it looked like Colby Wooden got some time at defensive end today. Was that due to numbers with some of the guys being out, or is that something that you believe he could potentially do in games this year?
I think it was a byproduct of both. But I do think he's got that versatility where, you know, if need be, we can put him on the edge and let him rush outside.
Now, we focused a lot on Watson last week when we were here about his hamstrings. Where is Stokes at, and where do you kind of see, you know, he's got that kind of bubbly personality, but I would think that the last couple of years have beaten him down. Where do you kind of feel like he's at in terms of?
I think he's as good as I've ever seen him, both mentally and on the field. So I want to temper the expectations with that, but I really mean that. He's out there competing each and every day. He looks fully healthy. He's doing a great job of challenging our wide receivers. He's always in great phase, and I think you see that personality is back. I think I mean, that's tough on players when they're going through an off season, not having an opportunity to really build upon their bodies, and when you're just focused on rehabbing and getting healthy. He's had a chance to really develop his body, and he looks in great shape. And I think the play says the same.
Last one, guys. Is good?
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Mark, I understand. It's your last day?
Last day, yeah. Full-time beat.
Wow, man. Well, I just want to say thanks for covering the Packers for all the years, and just wish you the best of luck in retirement. Don't get too bored on us.
Well, been a nice run.
All right, man. Well, congrats.